You might remember a while back that I planted up a garden for my neighbour along our shared driveway. It was a pretty muddy day, but I got rid of the lawn and put in all the plants. We ended up with a great little garden that's in bloom almost all year round. But at this time of the year, you can see it looks a little bit tatty. It's had literally no maintenance, so I'm going to do a bit of work today to get it firing and set it off for the next season. The first plant I want to tackle is this catmint, and as you can see, it looks pretty rotten, and you might think it's actually dead, which the top part is, but it's a winter dormant plant. It's completely herbaceous, which means all of this foliage dies back to the ground. But if you look at the base down here, you can see there are buds ready and willing to go, and so you've got to prune all the way back to them. So you take all of this dead material off. I think these few have been assisted by a couple of car tyres coming over the top of them. And you prune right to the base. The next plant to deal with is the sedum, and I quite like this coppery dead growth. It looks fantastic through the winter months, but it is time to take it off. It's got lots of buds down at the base, and so you just need to remove the dead growth. Of course, this is also a fantastic time to propagate either of these plants. They're just clumping perennials, so you just lever a little piece out, and if it's got a nice piece of root, you can pot it up and give it away. The irises I'm just tidying up by removing any dead or tatty leaves, but being really careful not to knock off any flower buds. I've made that mistake before. With everything cut back, it's also a really good time to pull any of that mulch away from the iris when they might have built up around the rhizomes, and of course pull out any weeds. And this viburnum, it's budding up, it's ready to go. It needs no work at all. The camellias need really very little work. I'm just tip pruning them so that they'll bush out when they shoot away in spring. And then a couple of those lower limbs, I'm going to lift them up to make sure that we can see the planting underneath much more clearly. Hot little tip for you, if you have some existing garden beds where you've got to work in and around plants, get your hands on a couple of kids' rakes. They're of course really handy to have around if kids come to play in the garden, but also they can get in and amongst other plants without doing any damage. I've removed quite a bit of material, but none of this is going to go to waste. The weeds, I'm going to feed them to the girls, and the rest can go straight into the compost. Just going to add a small amount of organic fertiliser to push along that new growth. This one's made from fish waste. And then just gently aerate the soil around the plants. And then it's time for mulch. Winter really is such a great time to get a bit of work done, and it pays such big rewards. For a couple of hours here, we're going to have displays of flowers, we're going to have fragrance, we're going to have something for the bees and the birds to visit all year round. It's really worth the effort.